Hello, welcome to The Writing Engineer. A while ago, I did a popular video, for my channel at least, entitled Death and Destruction. In it, I went over how to kill your character and some of the research that's involved in creating a believable death, especially one that is impactful in the story, or gory. But what if you don't want one that is especially gory? You don't like gore, that's not how you write, or you just don't want to showcase death. Well, today on The Writing Engineer, Death and Destruction 2, the off-screen death. We've all seen off-screen deaths. In fact, one of the more recent shows on Amazon called The Boys starts off its series with an off-screen death. In it, we see the main character witness his girlfriend's death, but all we see is the main character's face. His girlfriend was killed by a super who ran through her. Pretty gross, but we don't get to see all of it. In fact, we don't get to see most of it. All we end up seeing is a little bit of blood, well, maybe more than a little bit, splashed on our main character's face, and a tooth. From this, we can learn that there are several elements that go into creating a believable and impactful off-screen death. The main thing is that you're not allowed to use your sense of sight or to engage another person's sense of sight, so we have to rely on a few other senses. Here's an excerpt that I have from my second book, Amara's Law, Hybrid Tech. 13 looked over her shoulder. The nanogenes had one of the lab technicians and held him aloft. He screamed as the thing wrapped two of its pseudopods around him and started twisting. 13 turned away. She couldn't watch a man getting squeezed to death, not after what had happened in Purgatory with Subject 6. But it didn't stop her ears from working. She heard the man's screams go from sharp and clear to gurgling as the creature wrung the life out of him. His screams ceased and were replaced by the sound of liquid spilling on the floor, then a wet, meaty thump. See? No fountains of blood, no entrails or splatter, but yet we're left with a perfect visual of what was going on. Perhaps even more so, since as an author, you're already engaging your reader's senses other than sight. You can add things like your main character experiencing a sticky, wet feeling on their face, or a metallic smell as blood sprays around them, or even the stench of decay if the death is old. I'm going to link to a story that I wrote a while ago in which we were told to engage multiple senses as the main character went about doing whatever it is that they were doing. I got a fair number of compliments on this particular story for giving our group a good visual image of the surroundings of where the main character was. The catch? Well, my main character never once mentioned that she saw anything because she was blind, and nobody ever noticed. There's also the other side to this particular form of killing off a character or creating a believable death scene. It can get very old if your character is continually turning their head so that they don't have to look at a scene of death or something that they find repugnant. So the second part of this particular way of including death in your book is that not only do you have to sometimes give your character the choice of turning their head, but sometimes you have to make it so they don't have a choice. Now, they could either be captured by the antagonist, which opens up a realm of possibilities for making it so your character cannot see. Now, they could be blindfolded. They could be in a separate room where they just can't see what's going on. They could be handcuffed, face down, and turned away. They could have a flash of light go off in front of their eyes so that they have stars in their vision. They could have their torch that they're using to explore the tunnel be blown out by a gust of wind, or a stray wash of water, or the breath of a dragon. This can be applied to any sort of story. It doesn't have to be just for a horror story or a mystery story. These are used in fantasy and science fiction across the spectrum. So there's no reason that this can't be used in your story. There are many ways of making it so that your main character can't see, but choosing the right one for your story is something you'll have to figure out on your own. Now let's take an example from my Amara's Law series. I have several characters. Their names are all numbers. The first subject was subject number 1, all the way up through my main character, who is subject 13. Now, subject number 4 does not have any sort of what most people would be considered superpowers. He doesn't have super strength, no super speed, he can't communicate with computers or cause electricity to fly from his hands or generate magnetic fields or anything spectacular like that. All he has been given is a modification that allows his eyes to see outside the visible spectrum. This can create a problem if you're trying to make it so that this character can't see. Since they can see outside the visible spectrum, they can see through their own eyelids, which makes closing your eyes in a fight or to avoid a scene of gore rather difficult. It is quite useful if they're feigning death or unconsciousness and need to spy on the enemy to find when the best time is to pounce. So we're going to have to come up with something creative as to why this character can't see. Maybe they're bound in a direction that's not facing the scene that they're trying to avoid, or the scene that they are prevented from seeing. Maybe they're behind a thick piece of metal or a bulkhead if they're on a ship. Or it's possible that if they're trying to look through something that is a reflective surface, like a mirror or anything like that, they wouldn't be able to do so because many mirrors are reflective not only with the light that we see, but with light that we can't see. For example, the standard mirror that you have in your house doesn't only reflect the light that you see, it also reflects heat and ultraviolet radiation. Not to a great extent on either side, but yet it does. Perhaps in this character's case, he keeps a set of goggles with him that limits the amount of light that can reach his eyes to only what is available to normal people. The circumstances are definitely going to be different for the story that you're writing, so you're going to have to find a way for a troublesome character to be prevented from seeing anything. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down and let me know what I could have done better. Please don't forget to click the subscribe button on your way out. My book, Amara's Law, Blood Tech, is available on Amazon and Draft to Digital. I'll leave the links in the stuff below, as well as several other links if you would like to follow me on social media, or visit my website to find out when my new books, Amara's Law, Hybrid Tech, and The Tooth Fairy Chronicles, Sleep is Overrated, will be coming out. These books are being a little bit delayed because of the current pandemic that we're experiencing and the economic uncertainty that is currently happening inside the United States, as I'm sure many of you are aware. That being said, I hope you enjoyed this and it gave you a little bit of levity in what is otherwise a trying time. Thank you very much, and have a good evening. Grief. Well, you're definitely crooked here. Come on.